All right, so LeBron once again do his podcast, got people talking, and not only did he iterate that Iverson and Curry are the most influential in the game, he also pointed out that Curry and is similar to Mahomes. Now, I was like, I've alluded to this before, and I was like, so have other people, so I don't think he's like it was like probably to LeBron, cause knowing how he is, that he's the one that discovered this narrative. But I was like, just something that people been talking about for longest. But I was like, it's gonna be something a talking point as I'm doing right now. But I don't think it necessarily should be. I think this is probably one of the best comparisons of a cross sport athlete. To be honest, I know people try to do Michael Jordan and Tom Brady, and that's really because most people do have them like number one on like their quarterback of basketball people, and because of titles and stuff like that. But that one still is kind of a tricky bag to me with that one. Whereas like this one with Curry and Mahomes, it's almost like mirror images of the same people and impact on the game, and also perfect timing of everything else. And okay, so like for instance, you know, Curry, you know, came on the scene. We knew who he was playing at Davidson and stuff like that, but ain't nobody think that he was about to be what he is. Like we knew that he could shoot the ball and the way he shot threes and stuff like that. But at the time of the NBA, it just looked like he was about to be like a spot up shooter, um, you know, catch and shoot. I was like maybe on some Steve Nash type of ish that of those erratic threes kind of thing. Um, and going to Mahomes, I was like, I would say that probably he was probably a little bit less known, just coming from Texas Tech and whatnot. But I was like, at that time with college football, you still knew a pretty good amount of people, stuff like that. But going into the draft, nobody ain't think that he was going to be sort of what he is now. I was like, now I was like, to be honest, looking at that draft, I was like, to me, Trubisky had a little bit more hype coming out of Carolina, and we all knew what Deshaun Watson was at Clemson. So Patrick Mahomes was really the strong arm guy. Like he had a specialty talent like Curry of shooting a three, throw like strong arm quarterback. So you've seen like, oh, okay, yeah, he might come in, but I don't think nobody thought of anything special. But when they arrived on the scene, where it's like they came at everybody by surprise. Let's be honest. I was like, yes, we knew that Alex Smith was going to be up out of there with the Chiefs, but it was just like, oh, okay, cool, they're going to play the rookie quarterback. No biggie, or their second year quarterback. No biggie. It's like Curry wasn't going to stay for a while. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. They got rid of Monte Ellis. This is going to be the Steph Curry show. All right, cool. And then they get Clay and all them a couple more pieces. So that's the only really part about football and basketball is that the pieces that you get and stuff like that. But when they hit, boy, did it hit. Mahomes is coming on the scene, just launching the ball like crazy on some Madden shit that he just launching it 60, 70 yard over here, just creating, manipulating in the pocket, scramble inside the pocket, launch, throwing it straight downfield, all over the place, going for like 5,000 yards in a way that's like, yeah, Drew Brees went for 5,000 yards. It was an accomplishment. Matthew Stafford, he threw 5,000 yards. But yeah, one, he also had Megatron. But when Mahomes did it, boy, God, that was a highlight, a reel. And same thing with Curry. When it was his time, boy, I was like jacking up shot 3/4, and it will with the ease swish straight through the net. You can't even defend it. Like, what are you about to do? You got to pick this dude up full court. Get the walk out of here. And I was like, at that point, yo, just give them the MVPs. They getting all the MVPs at this point because that's crazy what they're doing. Another thing I want to say is that they both had the right time, and by that I mean one is the social media highlight culture that we're in. They came about at the time that it was really starting to really hit. Like, yes, it's always been highlights and stuff like that. There's a reason why ESPN exists. I was like, we still had Twitter. You still had, you still had all these things in places. But one, I will say that I was gonna say, like, yes, YouTube been around, but this is also when it started to really get that extra that next oomph that it was until, like, that big boom. But I think it really kicked in once we started having more phone. I was like access to these and getting our stuff a lot more quicker, a lot more rapid. Boom, 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 and it's like, yo, can you see what did? Do you see what this dude did? Do you see what this dude did? Hey, that's crazy. And they both just, and it just like simultaneously, if you wanted to see a highlight, they both had them for you. But also, I would say that at the right time because it's like Steph Curry came at the point where it's like, yes, he changed the game with the 3 points and the way that Golden State played the game, and with their was like with shooting threes, small ball, open space on the court, and things like that. But also, the biggest factor to me is really analytics. And I was like, yes, there is that in basketball. I mean, football as well. So I was like, that's going to be the next part of it. But for basketball, what basically threes are four or more than two. We're not doing twos anymore unless it's like a layup or a dunk. So guess what? I was like, hey, we done figured out how the small ball thing works. But guess what? We're gonna run your big ass dude off the court. I was like, we're gonna also get rid of all these the defensive dude that can't do nothing. They started doing that type of stuff. I was like, yeah, no. At that point, yes, was this gonna happen in the league? Yes, it was going to. But I think Golden State made it rapid to where it went from can a jump shooting team win the NBA championship to uh why are all of y'all doing this? Because I was like, let's also be honest too. There's a whole like not like if you go back and there's a middling point where it was like a bunch of teams was doing this and none of them had anywhere sort of player that can emulate Golden State, but they was trying to do it. Now you got a lot more team that are finding it and doing that stuff, so now you're able to have a team constructed that way. And so the same thing also with uh, the Chiefs. I was like with Andy Reid and sort of like, and he sort of did these things when he was with the Eagles, but the Chiefs and their team and Mahomes really was able to open this up. And it was a lot of things, and like their analytics was basically like, yes, Andy Reid loved to pass, but the way just I was like I said, Mahomes was able to open it up where it's like, okay, cool, we're gonna do these type of passing schemes where it's like, okay, cool, we're gonna have more concept with options. Also, like we're gonna get you really with speed, smaller players and stuff like that. Like that, really, I was like really was able to highlight what he's able to do with more like gadget and gimmicky players, where it's not your typical receivers that do, just it's like, oh, okay, cool. This one is just your possession receiver. This one is just your speedy receiver. We got a tight end that sort of blocks and things like that. Like it was coming at a time where it's like yes, were there tight ends that did this? Of course there is, but I was like, I was like, but not too many teams were taking advantage of that. So like a few. I was like, basically his best receiver was Tyreek Hill, and that dude's only like 5'9". And I was like, how many times did that really kind of happen? But it happens when you have the right offensive system and the right schemes and stuff like that. But also knowing of how they sort of started manipulating of like, okay, cool, we're gonna use our money here and not here, where some other teams would just be like, no, we need to flush our money over in these areas that probably was like the big thing back in the day, and they're just like not doing it. So I was like, but also just the fact that it's like, why the need to pass when I mean, why do we need to run when we could just pass? Like our passing will set up our run game a lot more than the run was. Because I was like, like yes, nowadays they run the ball a lot more, but those earlier teams was really passing. And also too, you look at everything like what increase points increase. I was like for basketball and football, why the 3 point shot, the passing. I was like, what started happening more with both things of getting people interested. The offensive side of the ball that also boomed in a way that allowed both of them to prosper in a way that if they was just probably 3 years or 4 years before, maybe they don't really exist in the same way. Like you are coming into a passing league, Mahomes, in a way that beforehand you or if you wouldn't have went to a different team, you run the ball and maybe you don't develop the same way. I was like, Steph Curry, if they don't maybe get rid of Monte Ellis, you go somewhere else. But also the fact that they're pushing more offense, maybe you are just I was like, maybe you are basically Reddick, JJ Reddick in a sense. Uh, at that spot, especially being a shorter guard at that too. So I think that the timing of everything really helped them out. Um, Also, I think their presentability in the media and stuff they're I was like they don't rub people the wrong way. I was like the way they sort of are being where you I was like non-threatening, I guess you could say, or they're very inviting. Uh, Even though they could be dogs or killers on the court or on the field, they don't give that off as maybe some other people or some other people at quarterback. And I think they're marketable as well too. Uh, I think that all helps. I was like, also they come from parents that have pro league experience. Um, so I was like, so the similarities between them is really, really about the same, and just the way they innovated both sports at the same time, and also their rise to GOAT level at the same, because it's like maybe it's like cool Curry being great would have happened, but he has the championships to go along with it. Mahomes is at great level, but now he also have the rings to go for it. And yes, while there is more to go with if you want to say he's in competition with Tom Brady, he's still so young. He's still at the top of his game that could just happen, and people are playing a lot longer. So this is not a far fetched thing at all. I was like, this is probably to me, like I said, the best comparison we've had of a cross sport athlete. Um, yeah, I was like, I was like, if you got somebody else that you could think of, I feel like it'd be kind of really difficult and hard just because I think it's easy to do with It's easier to do with quarterbacks to anybody in the NBA than really any other position at the same time. Um, I was like, Draymond Green, Richard Sherman. I don't know. Maybe that one works. Anyway, if you got something, just let me know. Not what do you think about this or what LeBron said in general. But until then, peace. I'm out.